2023 season. I'm Nick, joined as always by Kevin.
What's up, Niner Nation?
Producer Brad behind the scenes, making it all go.
Hey.
And Coach Woody.
Hey, everybody.
All right, boys, we're back. I know it's only been a few days since we did the show. For those of you that are out there watching us live, this is probably going to be much more of our normal format this season with Monday nights, kind of using this virtual format. We're trying out some new software. Got a lot of positive feedback from folks over the weekend. Appreciate all that. But yeah, this is probably Monday nights is probably going to be our jam a lot of the time, unless something really gets exciting and we get all excited and have to pack up our gear and go out to the Hayes, which, you know, I think could probably happen before it's all over with. But for right now, we're going to kind of settle in and do some Monday nights with you live on YouTube, and then we'll post the podcast later. Boys, it was a long but productive weekend. How are we feeling?
Glad to have baseball back. It was a great weekend. Glad to be back at the Hayes, man, and seeing another uniform out there. I know we've been in several scrimmages, and I know the players were tired of playing against each other, and we're chomping at the bit to do some damage on somebody else. So finally glad to see that.
And do some damage we did, Coach Woody. You guys got 3 out of 4, which we're going to go through the weekend and talk about that. But just overall, Woody, you got week 1 under your belt. How good you feeling, man?
Yeah, I feel. Thanks. I feel great. You know, it's you kind of have to learn a lot about yourselves in a hurry once you start the season, because it's, you know, the games count, and you know, it's you learn on the fly. But you know, I couldn't be more proud of the response on Saturday and Sunday from our players. You know, sometimes when you drop a game, you can kind of just look at the team and tell a lot by just kind of like the way they were looking at you after a loss. And they kind of had this look about them Friday after game 1. And we certainly talked about a few things, but I was like driving home Friday night, and I was like, I really like what I saw in terms of just the looks on their faces after the game. And because I really think that tells a lot. They and to their credit, they showed up on a mission Saturday. It's very difficult to win both games of a doubleheader, no matter who you play, much less a team like Ball State that's coming off a 40-win season. You know, preseason number 1 in the MAC, which is a really good baseball conference. And you know, so to take those 2 games and then to come back on Sunday and, you know, yesterday and do what we did after trailing a couple times, nonetheless, we learned a lot of positive things about our club, I believe.
All right, Coach, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of the series and kind of take a look at some of the performances and stuff. But let's move back to last week first. You guys got the idea to do a really cool event at the Hayes on Wednesday night. You guys hosted your first ever student home run derby. Talk a little bit about that. That was really cool.
What's that? Kind of lost service for a second there. Talk about what?
Oh yeah, the student home run derby. Talk about how that went. That was your first ever event, or the time you did that, and you had a great turnout. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was. We kind of got together as a coaching staff a week or 2 before that, and just had the idea of you know, doing something like that and open up the field, kind of just, you know, give back to the students that we really need and want to come out and full force this spring, and let them have some fun and good time and get to know our coaching staff and get to know our players. And you know, just because I just think, you know, if the students and the fans, you know, much like we do this, you know, the more people get to know our coaching staff and our players, I think the more invested people become, and the more invested people become, then the more enthusiastic they are about, you know, supporting and coming out and that sort of thing. So just, wanted to kind of give back to the students that and had a really fun event. And I think we had about 50 registrants and about probably another 50 to 75 who didn't even hit. They just watched and cheered for their friends, and had perfect night of weather, and it was a lot of fun. It's absolutely something we'll do every year from here on out.
Yeah, really cool. So producer Brad's got this teed up. I took one of the first people publicly on social media to announce their participation in said student home run derby. It was actually someone from across Phillips Road over there at the Sioux, reigning All-American, conference player of the year, et cetera, et cetera. Boo Vinoy said, "I'm all in, coach. I want to go. I want to hit dingers at the Hayes." And she made good on her promise. She came over and she brought her softball bat with her, but she was hitting baseballs off the Hack Attack machine. And we captured a little video of how it went with Boo. Let's see if we can show everybody that.
Come on! Go! Go! Yeah! Boo bomb!
How cool is that?
So cool.
That's 335 down the line there. For those of you not familiar, 335. And I'm definitely not calling any names, because my name would get called if I stepped in that cage. There were some dudes there that were trying to put one out that didn't, and Boo kind of showed them up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, she's got the best swing on campus, so I don't think anybody on Phillips Road was surprised, for her to do that. It was a really cool moment, though. Our players were jacked up, the students were jacked up, and it's something. Honestly, I think 5, 10 plus years from now, people still look back and say, "Hey, Boo's leaving a legacy across the street and just doing incredible things, for our softball program." And, that's just going to be something, that's just part of the legacy, is like, hey, remember when she did that at the Hayes and da-da-da-da. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And speaking of pretty cool things, Nick and I got to participate in something pretty cool in the pregame before opening day. Again, it was a great honor that we were asked to come out and throw out the first pitch again to open up the season at the Hayes. The goal of ours was to just get it there in the air, and we both did again. Started off the season great. Unfortunately, the second year in a row, we've lost on opening day. So I'm going to take a second here to announce our retirement from throwing out the first pitch on opening day. Since our record is 0-2, figure we are hurting the team more than we're helping, so we're gonna retire and let someone else do it next year.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I just to echo what Kevin said, want to thank everybody at UNC Charlotte 49ers, and Charlotte baseball. It's been a wonderful 2-year run. Gonna miss it, but I am looking forward to being able to spend more time with my family in the stands on opening day, and excited about this next chapter in my life. So thanks, everybody. We're officially retired.
TB12, Diamond Niners.
By the way, I did, Kevin, you did a good job. You got the ball in there. I got grief for lobbing the ball in there, and my dad was the first one to jump on me as I came off the field, and I didn't even care. As I explained to him, if I lollipop it in there today, I have to hear about it the rest of the day. If I bounce it in or sail it over their head, hit the backstop, I don't ever hear the end of that. So I went safe and, just kind of floated it in there. Right. And that's I don't know. Maybe that was the bad thing. Maybe that was the bad luck. I don't know.
No. Well, the thing we're going to hear about for a while is Austin Knight was telling us we had to go from the mound. We couldn't do it from in front of the mound, and we were trying to get as close to the mound as we could. And
you were trying to get as close to the mound as you could. I was trying to get as close to the plate.
Well, when you're out there, it looks like if there's 100 yards between you and the catcher when you're standing out there throwing a first pitch, no warm-ups, and an opening day crowd cheering you on. It looks like 100 yards.
Wow. Hey, it was fun. It was a fun run while it lasted. Like I said, appreciate everybody that allowing us to chase our dreams, our first pitch dreams. But we're moving on, and we're gonna move on. Let's talk about our first weekend with the video board, Woody. This was a weekend over 30 years in the making, since 1989. New video board installed. I know you guys. Oh, we're getting chat. We're getting kind of the University of Arden wore my helmet in the stands. Well, good. I'm glad we didn't hit you, University of Arden. I'm telling you, we are so big in Arden. I would say that this was a momentous occasion to have the video board up there. I know you guys are still working on some functionality, and everybody will kind of be just like they are at the Sioux, kind of getting it programmed and getting it up and running. But pretty cool to have that up and running. And in a weird way, it almost felt like it had always been there. I don't know, Kevin. Is that how you felt? It was
no.
natural.
It eventually it took me a long time to get used to it. Being there, and I don't know. There's a lot of information put up on that, so it was great to not have to stay on your phone, have to line up and all that in front of you. Great to have stats up there. Great to have all kinds of information. But yeah, still trying to get used to it a little bit. It's only been 30 something years since we've had a new board, so trying to get used to the new one.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So, and I can't tell, and I may just have to communicate with producer Brad here. Woody, have we got you?
Yeah, I'm here. Did I lose video? Hold on.
Yeah, I think you just lost video. We can hear you.
Let me see.
Yeah, I love live entertainment.
Am I back?
No, you're we hear you, but we don't see you.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, I think this show would get better ratings if you probably could just hear but not see me. But
all right. Well, I'm going to sign out and I'm going to sign back in.
Yeah, jump off, jump back on. We'll stay right here. We aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, we could talk about the tailgate, Nick. You could talk about
we
Saturday.
Talk about tailgate. Yeah, so our first opportunity to tailgate on Saturday. Got out there, it was with the doubleheader. We decided to do a little light breakfast tailgating before the noon game. Then we ate lunch in between. Man, this stuff gets better every year. Last year was the first year they did the reserved parking with tailgating, and it got better as the season went. But it's just continuing to go. If you're out there and you're watching this show or you're listening, look back later. Not only are you invited to the tailgate, you are now officially invited to the tailgate. You have also been empowered to invite other people to come to the tailgate. So right out lot 23, the what we call the old circle lot or the ellipse lot, right out in front of the Hayes. We're going to be right back out there this Saturday with the game starting at 2:00. The lot should open at 10. Weather's looking okay for now. We'll be back out there starting 10 a.m. on Saturday, and it's a double dip Saturday out there. Softball's going to be at home as well, and they've got some folks coming out to tailgate. So we're just continuing to grow in numbers. Good stuff.
Yep. I missed the first game with parental duties, but got there right after the first game and participated with you guys. It was a really good crowd. I got to meet a few folks that I hadn't met before. It was really nice. cool seeing people that I hadn't seen in a while also. But that crowd's getting bigger and bigger. It's been a long time coming. We've had great tailgates in the past, and it's good to see that continuing on in the future.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going. Keep going with it.
We could talk about some accolades while he's not there. He is.
Oh no, there he is. Hey, we were getting feedback while you were away that there was at least one vote that came in for the black screen. I'm not going to tell you who that was.
Ratings went up temporarily.
Yeah. It's I don't think so. Well, we were just talking tailgating while you were away, something that we never talk about and hardly know anything about. But we were talking about the tailgate and how that's continuing on, and hope as many people as possible can come out this Saturday, because we'll be right back out there. But let's talk about let's just jump into the Ball State series, Coach. You knew you had 4 games coming in. We're playing 5 games in 5 days. Including Clemson coming up tomorrow night, which we'll get to. But on opening day on Friday night, you gave the ball to Kentucky transfer Wyatt Hoodapole.
Yeah, no, Wyatt's been, he's been a worker and a leader from day one that he stepped foot on campus here, and it's just been really cool to see. He and a number of guys have really progressed and developed. But, from, where, I recruited Wyatt actually when I was at UNC as an assistant coach. And, so like this would have been, I want to say it was the spring of 2019. I flew up to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I watched Wyatt throw a bullpen in a gymnasium. And I was standing next to Jim Bellinger, who was the pitching coach at Kentucky and who's now actually the pitching coach at Clemson. And he and I were standing there, and along with Wright State, we were the only 3 schools there. And, for one reason or another, Wyatt went to Kentucky, but, I really wanted to coach him. And so as soon as I saw that he was in the transfer portal, we kind of acted quickly and recruited him the whole summer. I mean, he was pitching up in Cape Cod, and, just really, he knew Spencer Geesting pretty well. So there was a connection there, and thankfully Spencer had great things to say about our program. And it's not surprisingly, but, our players are our best recruits. And so Wyatt, after a full summer of playing the Cape and us trying to convince him to come to Charlotte, did so. And it's just been really cool to see, his progression. I mean, he's one of the first guys at the ballpark every day, one of the last guys to leave, and he's gotten so much stronger and mobile and moving better. And he's gone from kind of touching 91, 92 in the fall to hitting 97 5 times last Friday in a start for us. So it's couldn't happen to a better guy and a harder worker, and he's just in a short span has really established himself as one of our leaders on our pitching staff and our team.
Yeah, Coach, we saw a lot of great pitching, and Wyatt was the headliner for the Niners. Hale Sims pitched great out of the pen. I didn't have any velo numbers, but it felt like he had some really high velocity up there. Ball State had some great pitching as well. Certainly a pitcher's duel for opening night. Talk about a little bit about the pitching on both sides and how that game went.
Yeah, I thought their guys threw tremendous. We kind of had the starter on the ropes there in the first inning and a couple times early on, and credit to him for making big pitches when he needed to, and their defense for making plays when they needed to. And we kind of ran ourselves out of some things, just honestly kind of some over anxiousness, which if you're going to make mistakes, be aggressive. So kind of had a little bit of that, and then they brought in a preseason All-American and Ryan Brown, and he kind of started some of his own fires and then put his own fires out. And I mean, he was really tough. So the fact that I don't know if I've ever seen a game where a team's walked 15 times and only scored a run, but that's baseball, and great players step up and make great pitches and great plays and big hits when it counts. And that, he's a preseason All-American for a reason. So we anticipated it being a lower scoring game. Just unfortunately, we came out on the short end of that one. But then, like you said, the guys, Hale threw tremendous for us game one, and great seeing Aubrey Gillentine come in there with a big punch out for his first appearance with us. He's going to be a huge piece to our pitching staff. AJ Wilson, I know he was frustrated with the at bat that he had, but he's, people close to the program know AJ and how much of a competitor he is and how much he cares about this program, and how hard he's worked to come back from, a minor, elbow surgery, which, I use the word minor loosely because it's part of his arm. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just that's his first time seeing another uniform since that part of the process. He's obviously faced hitters in the preseason, but it was just, that was kind of game one. And we already talked about the post game, kind of look in their eye and give our players all the credit. They showed up Saturday ready to roll, and they weren't satisfied with, the two games on Saturday, and came back Sunday still on a mission. So I give them a lot of credit.
So, Coach, we take a look at a lot of course, we're even a part of a lot of online traffic as far as conversation about the baseball program and various games. And there was some discussion after Friday night's game, and I'd be interested to get your comment on it. And I didn't always follow exactly the line of thinking, but Friday night's game inspired online a discussion of bunting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure that there were that many opportunities to utilize that. Although I did see one person arguing that maybe we should have bunted with the bases loaded, but and tried to squeeze a run home. But comment on that. But in general, Friday night's game, as you pointed out, it's odd to see a team get walked 15 times and then lose 2-1. Did you see any role for laying down a potential bunt somewhere in there? That's just we talked about it. Question, but they did talk about that question, so I'm submitting it on their behalf.
Oh yeah, I mean, Coach Sebiar and I, Coach Bick, like before the inning comes up, we talk about those things. If and when this guy, when this guy gets on base, and we're in this situation, this guy comes up. What do we talk about those things before the inning starts. And then as the inning transpires, Coach Bick's at third and Coach Siebes and I are in the dugout, and, we're still having those conversations and that sort of thing. We just felt like, we were really having we weren't having much issues getting runners on base. And, it's one thing if it was a pitcher's duel, but we weren't having really many problems getting guys on base. And we felt like it was really just a matter of time before, we knocked a ground ball through or drove one in the gap or hit one out. And, there's just certain guys in our lineup, our fan base can just know, they're just not going to bunt.
Will Butcher.
I'm not going to say necessarily, but they're just not going to do it. They're not going to bunt, and they're going to have green light to swing 3-0 all the time. Yeah. There's just certain guys in our lineup that's going to be the case. I certainly understand, if you could automatically guarantee that, the player was going to successfully execute a bunt, which we do practice. If you could guarantee that, so in practice, we also get to see how good or not good they are at bunting. So we're certainly not going to ask players to bunt whom haven't shown the ability to really do so at a very successful clip, especially when they're as good at hitters as they are. So there's kind of that element. And then, there's just no. I mean, there's there's just guys in our lineup like all of a sudden you foul off a bunt now. You've got runners in scoring position. You bunt a ball foul. Great. Now you got a strike on you. You bunt another one foul. Great. Now all of a sudden you've put a guy in a 2-strike count, and you just really kind of the outs are very valuable, and we don't like giving them away. So we feel like there's guys on our team that are certainly higher percentage guys to lay bunts down, and that sort of thing. But when we see as many guys getting walked, like I'm just going to always believe that Austin Knight, Josh Pratchett, Caden Hobson, Will Butcher, Blake Jackson, Cam Fisher, Brandon Stallman, Jack Dragum, JD Suarez, Eli Wiesner, Spencer Nolan, Dante DeFranco, Cal Clark, Drew Tyndall Huck Wathan are all going to drive in somebody. Yeah. Like every one of our hitters can hit. So, it just not to say that we're never going to bunt and we certainly practice it. Honestly, we probably practice it too much for how little we're going to do it. So that would probably be the other discussion, but yeah. So I mean, there's times where there's times, but honestly, I felt like there was two situations where I really thought the bunt was in play, and it's a fair discussion. I just felt like actually knowing our hitters, I feel like I actually, in my experience, I felt like one, he was either going to have a tough time keeping it fair, or two, we're actually going to be at risk for popping a ball up in the air. Because Ryan Brown he's not the easiest guy to bunt off. I mean, if you're sitting there watching, like nothing's straight, everything's diving and fading and kind of slicing. So, if you think bunting Ryan Brown is going to be easy, like it's just not. So.
Let's stop talking about bunting and let's talk about some dingers.
Well, let me just add in.
It's a good discussion. It's a good discussion.
Let me just be clear about something. I was not commenting on Butch's ability to bunt. I was commenting on Butch's ability to swing a bat, and I know which one I'd rather see him do.
Well,
because Butch hits baseballs real hard.
Blake Jackson attempted a really nice bunt down the first base side, and
he did.
Bang bang.
He did.
So we have guys in our lineup that we're capable. It's just a matter of, do we feel like certain occasions is optimal? Like we're not a very risk averse coaching staff. Like we don't make a lot of decisions like out of fear of failure, or like if we feel like we have an opportunity for like a 5-run inning, we're not going to play for 1 run. That's just so.
Yeah. All right. Well, Friday's in the books. Saturday, long day. We mentioned some dingers. We saw Caden Hobson go yard. We saw Austin Knight go yard. Niners put up 9 runs in each game. Pitching looked great. Danya Evans in game 1. And then game 2, lots of good pitching. I think both games 9-4, 9-5. So a lot of offense for the Niners. Talk a little bit about bounce back. You talked a little bit about Friday night, the looks on their face. They were ready to come to play on Saturday. Talk a little bit about Saturday, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, just typically before doubleheaders we hit inside, and in the past when we've done that, knock on wood, like I think good things have happened. So we had a really great round of BP in the cages with the guys, and game 2 started out, and they're just they came ready to play. It was pretty simple. So we kind of stuck to our approach, and we stuck to our preparation, and tried to drive up some pitch counts and look for our pitches to hit, and played really good defense in both games of the doubleheader, really too, which I'm really proud of. And I felt like we made a clear adjustment on the base pass as far as learning from game 1. So, one of our biggest weaknesses game 1 was base running. And so it was kind of like, if we do everything the same and we run the bases better, then good things will happen. And so felt like we did that Saturday, and the results showed it, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but Niners are down early both games. Talk a little bit about the getting down early and then bouncing back.
Yeah, I guess a good way to describe it is, we've talked about kind of playing chess this past off season for the and tournament up in DC, and how I played it a lot growing up. But it kind of, at times it feels like sometimes you sacrifice a pawn or a bishop or a knight in the early part of the game, and it's certainly not ideal, but it doesn't mean the game's over. And you can outplay your opponent for the rest of the game and still win. So that's kind of the way it felt like, in those games, where it's just kind of like we're sort of cruising, and then we walk a guy on 3-2 count, or walk a guy on a 4-0 count, and then a 3-2 count, and then a guy puts a good swing on a heater, and next thing you know, it's a 3 spot right there. So it felt like we kind of hung a piece in the early game, but like I said, to our team and our guys' credit, we just kept playing and battled back. And I was really impressed with the best teams, in my opinion. They don't really look at the scoreboard a whole lot in terms of the score and the innings and that kind of thing. They just kind of go about it like we just played until they told us to stop, kind of thing, and we weren't consumed with how much time was left in the game and that sort of thing.
So we saw in that first game, Coach, Kevin mentioned, Caden Hobson put a fantastic swing on a ball that he launched over probably somewhere in the vicinity of the softball stadium. Yeah. And that actually got a lot of run. That kind of went viral on social media. A couple different accounts were tweeting about Hops, not his batting stance and the swagger with which he carries himself. That is, and I gotta say, I mean, and I think the original tweet said something like this: when you can do a leg kick like that and still hit the ball 500 feet, he makes that work for him.
Yeah, Caden's awesome. Like he's kind of added that. I think he added that leg kick early on last year, and so it's just gotten better and better and better. The timing and the feel and the repeatability of it, and it's just when he's going good, it's really fun to watch. He's I think he leads the nation right now for us with 9 walks and on base 722. Mm-hmm. So when you're getting on base at a 722 clip, then you're doing something right. And it was cool. Yeah, it was cool to see. I love seeing. It's fun after wins when I've got friends or family, people sending me kind of stuff, and you just get to see the videos or the pictures of your players having a blast and having fun. Like that's the coolest thing, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And I think there's an element to where the game's kind of changed, where the best players in the game are kind of doing that stuff in terms of the bat flips and tosses, and Tatis Jr. doing the whatever that step is before third base. There's just that's just kind of the way the game's kind of gone. And I just always say, as long as you kind of keep it directed at our dugout, and not the other team's dugout, then I'm good with it. It's kind of what I've adapted to, and we're on the first base side, so yeah, I know Caden and Nighty flipped their bats pretty good, but they flipped it at our dugout, which is where the bat's going anyway. So it's kind of the way I look at it.
So yeah, if you're out there and you have not been able to see the angle from the center field camera on Hop, his right foot is in the strike zone. When he winds up and kicks the leg, his right foot is in the strike zone before he lunges forward at the ball. Really cool to watch. But yeah, the bat flip, Austin's bat flip got some run as well. Because he carried the bat with him a ways after his homer, and he put a pretty good flip on it as well.
Yeah, they've certainly set the bar high opening weekend. So can only imagine what Will Butcher, Cam Fisher, Blake Jackson, and those guys all have, because that's just how they are. They compete at everything. So now it's good. I'm sure it'll turn into who can have a better bat flip. And like I said, as long as it just stays at our dugout and it stays in, it doesn't get directed at the other team and that sort of thing. And those are both really big home runs too. It's not like you're doing it, up 10 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are really big swings of the bat that change the game, and the game's supposed to be fun. So, Kevin,
I got an idea. You know how when a player is helping, like the on deck guy goes up there and retrieves the bat for the guy who's hit a foul ball, and he stands it up, on its end.
Mm-hmm.
What if instead of doing a bat flip, what if you hit a home run and then just stood the bat on home plate and left it there standing while you circled the bases and then picked it up as you came in and, just left it right there. Just stand it up on the plate.
I don't know. That could be the next big thing.
That's like the anti-bat flip. Is I'm going to stand the bat on its barrel and let it stand here on home plate until I get back. I don't know. Somebody should, somebody just needs to try that and see if it works. I don't know. It's an idea.
Yeah. I was going to ask Woody which one he liked better, but probably not a good question.
Which bat flip he liked better?
Bat flip
I liked them both. I liked them both. Yeah, I liked them.
They were. It's hard for me to choose too, Coach. It was, but yeah, they were both big homers, like game changing, momentum changing.
It's there's teams now you can't have props outside the dugout, but now teams are like tossing bats like sledgehammers and stuff like that. Like we're not doing that. It's just, our guys watch Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball players do that. And it's really hard for me to tell our guys to not try to be like major leaguers. So
that's what they want to be.
That's what they want to be. So, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, so that game produced Butch was also 2 for 3 with a couple ribbies in that game. Hop's stat line ended up being rather unusual looking. In game 1 on Saturday, Caden was 1 for 1 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 3 walks to go along with 2 runs. So I feel like it feels like with as far this is, and we're going to talk about this, but you have a very plate disciplined team. But it feels like a catcher always has a leg up on that competition, because if anybody knows the strike zone, especially umpire to umpire, if anybody's learning that umpire strike zone, it's that catcher, right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. I've always felt like catchers have always had a knack for knowing the zone and plate discipline and swing decision and that kind of thing. Even like, I'm getting old now, but even 15 years ago, when I was finishing up college baseball, Chris Iannetta, Tim Fedorovich, Benji Johnson, he was a little bit more of a freed swinger, but Tim Fedorovich and Chris Iannetta, both big leaguers that I got to throw to as a college player. I felt like every time watching those guys hit, they knew exactly where the ball, whether the ball was in the zone or not. And, that was a little bit pre-TrackMan and lots of talk about swing decision and that kind of thing. They called it different things back then, but you're right. Catchers have always kind of had a knack for that, is they see thousands and thousands of pitches from their perspective.
I'm gonna go a little side topic here, Coach. A little discussion in the stands and throughout college baseball this weekend was the pitch clock.
Yep.
We saw a couple of balls called in our series, and I've seen online and in other places throughout the country, strike threes were called for the hitters violating that pitch clock. Talk a little bit about the new pitch clock rule and explain a little bit about where the clock is kept. Is it second base? Is umpire in second base? Does he have does he have the clock? Does he have the official clock? Is there anywhere for like the pitcher to see the clock? Is there? I know we have it displayed on the video board. Can can you take us through a little bit about the logistics of this pitch clock rule?
Yeah, definitely. So it's it's certainly controversial and it's certainly impacting the games. Fortunately, only with it got us one time with Paxton. It didn't really affect the outcome too much, but it affected Ball State a little bit more frequently. But yeah, no, it's controlled up in the booth by it's administered by someone on not our coaching staff, but our athletic department, who's fluent on the rules and when to start and stop it and that kind of thing. And yeah, it's controlled up in the booth, and it's a bit controversial from the standpoint that to your point, it's a ball is a ball is added, it can lead to a walk, it can lead to a strikeout from the hitter's perspective, and it's not kept by an umpire. So, I don't know, it's kind of like the shot clock in basketball in a sense. And I don't know, I'm for it. I think it's fine. I think it's something that we just as players and coaches have to adjust to. I would like for an umpire in the booth to be running it. I think that would just make it more politically correct, but then there comes in the whole thing of, we have 3 officials, we're paying 3 officials on the field per game. And now you're gonna have to pay a 4th official who sits up in the booth, and, or if you have 4 officials on the field, you're gonna have a 5th official in the booth. And, so then it turns into a budget thing, and but I think that's where I think it should be an umpire that, in some form or fashion that runs it. Not that, our administrator, did it accurately, and the umpires confirmed it was done accurately all weekend. So I thought our crew did a great job, but, I just think for the sake of, you're the visiting team and you're at another ballpark, and, you're focused on a lot of things, pitch to pitch as a coach. And, you don't want to be worried, thinking in the back of your mind that, hey, this visiting ballpark starting the clock a little bit early on our guys and a little bit later for their guys. Haven't gotten there yet. Our first road game's tomorrow, but it'd just be nice to know that an unbiased official is running it. Even like I said, it's just not talking about this weekend, just kind of in a general scope.
That clock starts when the pitcher toes the rubber, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you have 20 seconds to either step off, throw to first, or make a pitch.
Yeah, you have to. If you pick, it's basically there's 2 elements. There's nobody on base, and there's runners on base. So it's kind of like 2 buckets. So no runners on base. You've got a little bit more freedom, and then runners on base. If you pick, you have to throw the ball. You get 1 reset per at bat. So you saw Ball State a number of times, like inside move to second base and not throw it one time, or step off and fake throw. And there was no penalty per se, but you only get 1 of those per at bat. And so one little loophole that's probably, we haven't done it yet, but we've told our catchers that if there's ever a big spot with runners on base that you can, if there's ever a big spot, like let's just say it's bases loaded and a full count, and you see the pitch clocks getting ready to run down, it does say in the rule book that, each team's catcher is permitted to call time and step in front of home plate and put on some form of a defensive alignment as many times as they would like. So we've told our catchers that if there's ever a spot where, we cannot have a ball called against our pitcher and that sort of thing, that they can call it, that with runners on base, they can actually call time and bases loaded, full count, 2 outs, no outs, 1 out kind of thing. They can actually see the clock ticking down. They can call time and step in front of the plate. And we just put a regular bunt defense on, even though there's no threat of a bunt whatsoever, they're allowed to do that as many times as they would like. So again, we haven't had to use that yet, but that's kind of our like emergency brake if we need one.
Look, let me offer a different take on this, Coach. I don't get it. I don't think we need this stuff. I think that we've, and there's already a model for this. We've already seen this. Back in the 90s, NASCAR was one of the biggest things going. Mm-hmm. And they decided they needed to make NASCAR more like everything else so that more people would love them. And what they found out is by changing they made all these changes, and people that didn't like racing still didn't like racing, but the people that liked racing liked it less. Here, people that like baseball just need to be able to watch baseball. Let's stop trying to change the game to make it appealing to people that aren't going to watch anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with some of those people. I know them, and we're not getting closer to making them baseball people by this stuff. It's not. We're not going to make them love us.
Yeah.
Okay. And all we're doing is making it more complicated in the first place, because I can tell you, I mean, what you're just talking about is listening to you talk about what could potentially happen. The opportunities for that to be used or misused or misinterpreted are endless. When a coach, when we're on the road and Caden steps out in front of the plate, oh no, I can do that. No, you can't. Just play baseball.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're trying to get people to love us that just aren't going to love us, and just live with it. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah, it is frustrating. You know, it's as a coach, it's frustrating that you have to, you know, I mean, whether it's baseball or basketball or football or chess or whatever you're competing at, like, you know, the best of the best, they always know the rules and they know how to compete within the rules, like to the line, you know? And so it's frustrating that, you know, the fact that we even have to teach our catchers, you know, about like putting on a bunt defense to stop a fake bunt defense to stop a 20-second violation with runners on base, you know, is like the fact that we have to spend time on that is frustrating, but you know, it is what it is. And I tell people all the time too, like I'm 38 years old. I want to coach college baseball for a long, long time. And I don't really have a choice. It's, you know, everybody has a job, and, you know, I won't go as far as saying adapt or die, but it's, you know, it kind of is what it is. Like, I didn't make the rules. It's my job to have our team, you know, play by them as, you know, as competitively advantageous for us as possible.
You know, let's just let people with the mental capacity to watch baseball do so, and let everybody else go watch The Bachelor. I mean, I'm sorry. That's it. Let's just do that.
It's a hot take, Nick.
Baseball is a very, very old game, and it has survived this long without a 20-second clock.
Yeah, it's usually these types of decisions are usually, in my experience, are usually made by people that, you know, they're usually made by people that aren't going to be the ones that are physically in the dugouts or between the lines or standing behind a catcher. It's usually made by people that, you know, see the TV revenue and, you know, just want to see a shorter game because they want to, I guess. I don't know. You know, it's not made by coach. You know, these rules they're not made by the majority of, you know, the coaches and the umpires and the players, I don't think. But like I said, it's either you kind of just adapt and don't have much of a choice.
Right.
So let's
go ahead, Kevin. Kevin's itching to get me off my Bachelor takes, so go ahead.
Dean Smith probably didn't like the shot clock, but he adapted pretty well, I would say.
That's right. let's talk about Sunday, Coach.
Yeah,
you get two big ones on Saturday. Great pitching performances on the mound by the Niners. Sunday, we dig ourselves a hole again.
Yeah, we hung a rook. Not a Bishop or night. We hung a rook. Yeah.
But it was. I don't think anyone in the building was really worried about that. We kind of knew what was coming. We knew what our offense is capable of from Saturday's games. Talk a little bit about the comeback, the big inning. I think it was the fourth inning or the third inning. Third inning. Talk about the third inning. Just getting on base, getting in, taking what they give us.
Yeah, we just really. I mean, we stuck to our plan offensively. That's what great teams do. They adjust. You adjust where you need to adjust, which there certainly are. In game, there's always adjustments to be made, but it's not. It's rarely abandon ship or abandon the plan. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just stay the course, and I give our guys a lot of credit because you'll see teams all the time they fall behind, and all of a sudden now they start. If their game is to steal bases, they'll stop stealing bases. If their game is to hit and run, they'll stop hitting and running. If their game is to, take pitches and draw walks and that sort of thing, they swing more freely to try to hit their ways back into it. And I was just really proud of our guys for, Coach Bick and Coach Sieb, they do, they really carry the message with the position players as far as, sticking to their plan and not allowing the things that, the scoreboard to dictate kind of how we go about it. And they did that. And, we put up 12 runs and it was crazy. It was, it was, y'all saw it. So it was fun.
Taking what they give us.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking what they give us, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. You guys have prided yourselves on plate discipline for a long time, and we talked a little bit about Hop and what he's able to do. But really, this is the entire team. You guys drew 50 walks this weekend, I believe is the number 50. Yeah. Which really is unfortunate because 49 would have been just really good. But
I don't hear many things in the stands, honestly, over the course of the game. I did hear the Goldmine reference that was our 49th walk, and it was.
And there was a 49.
I don't think I've ever, as a player or coach, I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen some crazy things at a baseball field. I don't know if I've seen that. And, that's a good Ball State pitching staff. I mean, it's one of those things where our guys took a lot of borderline pitches, and kept working counts. It was really, 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 really fun to see. I mean, we get jacked up for a walk and for, a big take. When our guys take a pitch that we understand like how hard it is to take some of these pitches, and it's like when guys do that, it's like, it's a big deal to our team. It's a big deal to our dugout because our guys work really hard at that. And, with that, we have to work it, when you get two strikes and we feel like a pitch is actually two balls off and we take it, like we have to, we've worked really hard at not letting that kind of phase us too. Cause there's always that element where, if the umpire calls it a strike, it's a strike. And, you have to play the game with what the game requires. But it's it's a big deal for our program. For myself as a former, as an assistant coach that was a pitching coach primarily, that was like one of the first things I always looked at when I sit down and, we play Clemson tomorrow and I break down Clemson's hitters and their offense. And before I even go hitter to hitter, the first thing I look at is like, offensively, like how many walks do they have as a lineup and how many times they strike out, because that in itself right there will just tell you if we have to beat them in the zone or if we can try to beat them out of the zone on the mound. So, and then you start to then from there, you go and you watch individual film on guys and break them down and what we need to do. But, it just tells a story. If you'd never seen, like, we've played 1 week, and if you've never seen our team play, you can look at the stat sheet and just say, wow, like, they're not going to chase, very many pitches out of the zone. So, it just kind of tells a little bit of a story, and something that we've always prioritized, and something that we've worked very hard at with certainly the last 2.5 years since we installed TrackMan, to use that as a big resource for our guys to train that skill set on top of them already being really good at it. And, just on top of them already being really good hitters. It's also something we've prioritized in the recruiting process. Like, if guys have that ability before they get here, then, that's a good thing too.
I'm not going to put you in a position to comment on this, but I'm going to offer my thoughts.
It sounds like you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
But from a perspective of being in the stands yesterday, it just got to the point where it was like the score. I mean, the walks, they issued 18 walks yesterday. Hit some more batters. Anyway,
school record.
At a certain point, I felt like I was watching that scene in Cool Hand Luke where George Kennedy is beating up Paul Newman, and he's beating him so bad, everybody just loses interest. It was just like, oh my gosh, wow. As the runs are coming in and you guys are forcing more free passes and walking runs in, and the cheers even kind of just died down to a golf clap. It was like, now I know in the dugout, you're viewing that from a total different standpoint, but I'm just like, oh God, here we go.
Well, the two things that I would really just kind of comment on that front is like, one, I've been in, the shoes that Ball State was in yesterday. Like, I've been in those shoes before. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's no coach in the country that hasn't. So
no, so have we.
Yeah. So it's like, I know what that feels like. It's not a good feeling. But it's something that, when you're in this game, you have a mutual, when you're on the good side of it, like, you just kind of appreciate it and know that, there will be a time where you're on the other end of it. So don't you never kind of, you know what I'm saying? And then the other thing, I would say too, is like, I kind of lost my train of thought, but, but they're a really good team. And, I think the day before, Mississippi State was up 10-1 and ended up losing 14-13. So, not to call out Mississippi State or anything like that, my point is those kind of things happen,
right,
to really good teams like Mississippi State. Like, it's and other teams all over the country. Like, college baseball is a crazy game. It's why it's so great, and why it's, it's continuing to grow and I think at a exponential rate as far as just viewers and that sort of thing, and popularity. But it's like, no game is really ever over. It's like, Cam Fisher stole second yesterday in, I think, the 5th or the 6th inning when we were up 10, but it's like, we know Ball State's a really good team. They're capable of, they're going to try to come back. Mm-hmm. And so we just got to keep playing. And, I've been in those shoes before. Every coach has been in those shoes before. And, it's just kind of it's just one of those days, fortunately for us, we were on the good side of it yesterday.
And we've seen, we scored 10 runs in an inning last year, and had scored 12 earlier in that game. So it's possible. But see, this kind of tying the two topics together here. You're right. Baseball is it's a funny game. It's a wild game, and the game is growing. And I think it's because of that, not because of any random clock that's ticking out.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that. It's not because of the clock. It's the unpredictability, of college baseball is, my hair was all brown when I got here, and as you can see, we're graying out. So,
Yep.
It's with Scott Jackson, who's the head coach at Liberty. He's a good friend of mine, and he actually told me, he's like, dude, he was like, enjoy your brown hair while you got it, man. It was funny. I kind of laughed at that at the time, but it always kind of resonated with me. Not that that's necessarily like a lot of stress, but it's funny.
Well, why don't we talk about top performers? Sorry, Ken. I was directing us on to a different topic.
I was just gonna comment when you're working with 18 to 22-year-olds a lot. I'm sure you got some gray hairs popping up there.
Yeah, now with COVID, 18 to 24-year-olds now, so it's
yeah, that's right.
It's but it's awesome. It's like the best age group. They're it's a lot of fun, and I think we all get into this coaching thing to have an impact and help the guys navigate, those very kind of transformative years of their life, going from high school to being in the real world, kind of bridge that gap and prepare them. And we just kind of get to use the game of baseball as that vehicle, which for the most part is a lot of fun. At times it's challenging.
All right, so we'll move on now and talk about top performers, which has to start with a discussion of Austin Knight. Had a tremendous weekend, and there he is, Conference USA Hitter of the Week, announced today. I love this photo, by the way. Kevin, I think you described that as the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat all in one picture. So just comment on the weekend Austin had.
Yeah, I mean, I put it out there on Twitter today, just that this day and age, like everything is such a result oriented business, not business per se, but just sports in general. It's like you're either doing well or you're not, and there's no kind of narrative. There's not enough narrative at times, and people, a lot of people don't know or give credit to the fact that Austin. He could have sat so many of our games, last year. But as you guys know, we really needed him, and I give him a ton of credit. Like, he stayed in there and hung in there. And if it was just about his stats and his draft stock and all that stuff, then, which guys this day and age they can do, and he would have come out. And he didn't do that. He stayed in there and he fought and played the best defense he could possibly play for us, help us win games, and competed in the batter's box as best as he possibly could have last year, and which we needed. And he went to the Cape and still kind of, he was healthier but wasn't quite there yet, and then went home to Jacksonville and really kind of at a certain point in the summer and trained and kind of healed, and got back this fall and was just felt noticeably better, and continued to train with Coach McKibben and Coach Sieb and the cages and that sort of thing. And his dad Palmer is it's so cool. Sometimes I feel like the Knight family lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, with how frequently they're here. It's he knows Austin's swing better than anyone, and so every time Austin goes home, I know that he's in a good place, and when he came back and had to be from winter break, his dad had he and I were texting a little bit, and I don't mind sharing just that he was really pleased with where he was, and which is certainly a good thing. And it really showed all preseason. I mean, Austin has looked great the entire preseason, and as his coach, I know how big of a player he is for our program, and you want every player to be healthy and to be having fun. And as a player myself that pitched with a hurt shoulder for 4 or 5 years, essentially, I know how, there's a little bit, the game is fun. It's still fun when you're playing hurt and, having some success, I guess, but there's always a piece of in the back of your mind that's like, it would be nice to be close to 100% more frequently. And so, I'm just really excited for Austin to be healthy and feeling good, because when he's healthy and feeling good, he plays like he's capable, and he plays like he's capable. He's having fun and helping our team, do what we did this weekend. So, yeah, a bit of a long-winded answer, but I don't think the narrative at times with players, I think it's just kind of like, oh, so from here on out, it's like if somebody else asked me, one more, 1, 2, 10 more times about, what happened in 2022, it's like, you guys don't understand. Like he gritted it out for us in 2022, and it's like, now he's getting paid off, hopefully right now in this season for his selflessness last year. He gets the opportunity to show everybody this year, which is great.
Kevin had a great tweet about that. The first line of Austin's walk-up song is "Guess I Got My Swagger Back," and I think that sums it up, because he's looking great. And the other thing I love about your answer there, your response to Austin, is that you brought up Palmer, because anytime Palmer comes up, I know right now whether he's listening live or later, he's going, stop talking about me, stop talking about me, stop talking about me. So
yeah,
okay, we'll stop talking about you, Palmer. But but it was fun to do for a second.
Yeah. Speaking of Austin, it was great to hear him speak at the first pitch dinner as one of the leaders of this team, and then to see him Saturday hit that. We were down 3, hit the 3-run homer. Yeah, and D1 Baseball has a win probability thing now on their website. So we went from 75% chance of Ball State winning, one swing of the bat, 55% chance of the 49ers winning. That was pretty neat, and you can feel the momentum. I mean, obviously the momentum just rolled downhill from there. We and that was the key to the weekend. That was the play that put us over the top for the weekend, I think. And
we're waiting on that breakthrough hit, and that was it.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, what did I tell you about that win probability thing, Kevin?
You thought 55% was too low after that homer. You thought it was a little bit higher.
Yeah. So when Austin hits that home run, we go up to 55% chance of winning. And I think their math was wrong. I think they missed a decimal point, didn't round, because after he hit that ball, I moved us to 100%. I know he tied the game, but after he did that, looking around at some of the folks wearing red and some of the folks wearing red down the dugout, after that happened, I was like, yeah, we just won this game.
Well, look at the picture. Just look at the picture.
Just look at the picture. It's captured right there. Yeah, there we go.
One guy's having fun.
Right there says 100%.
All right. Let's move on to another top performer. I had an eye on this weekend. Paxton Thompson. Talk a little bit about him.
Absolutely.
Pitched a little bit last year, and then Saturday had a great performance out of the bullpen for the Niners in Game 2 Saturday.
Yeah, it was that was awesome. Paxton is so respected and so liked, and just by every member of our program. And I think we were all last year's over, and we've talked about that with Paxton. Like, he's been he trained pretty much this whole fall, worked on some things, and we kind of primed him, say, hey, like, let's get back to competing in the preseason and building you up, kind of thing. And right from the jump in January, he looked like the best version of himself each and every time out. I mean, it's so it was great to see him carry it into against another uniform, because we had been seeing it for about 6 or 7 weeks leading up to this past weekend, and just couldn't happen to a better person. And it's every player. I mean, there isn't a player in our program that doesn't have some element of either a comeback story or overcome adversity or whatever it may be. And Paxton's just he worked really hard to put himself in a position to have an outing like that, and we really needed it. I mean, that was huge for our team. And I really think, I'm pretty sure, I haven't talked to Cam about it. I'm pretty sure Cam Hansen probably sat there and watched Paxton and was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that, just like hitting's contagious, pitchers watch and they're like, okay, like that's what I need to do to be successful. And, I think Paxton watched Hale. I think Cam watched, Evan and Paxton and just said, okay, like that's what I'm going to go do. So it's promising because, that he a number of guys that pitched well out of the bullpen for us, they're capable of starting, and the guy, vice versa. So it bodes well for our pitching staff that we've got a multitude of guys that can pitch, 2 to 3 times through an order, whether it's the beginning of the game, the middle game, or the end game.
So we need to talk about we need to get around to talking about the week ahead, but let's try this. Let me try something out on you here and see. There were some comments in the D1 baseball chat today about the new arms that we have coming in and pitching, and we saw some of those arms this weekend. Donye Evans got his first go as a Niner. Was effective, but I think we all know that Donye's got more than that. And then you were able to give on Sunday. You were able to give Miles Langhorne a start, and I mean, if we did the math on this, I think that was the first time that Miles had been able to pitch in a competitive game for a couple of years, honestly, due to various factors. So you've got some young, promising arms that you're bringing along, and they're gonna grow into their roles. But in the meantime, when I look to the box scores, Coach, when I look at this weekend, I'm noticing a trend. The guys that step forward, Hale Sims, guy that's been here. Aubrey Gillantine, I only made the one out, but it was key out. Solid veteran, dude that's been around the block. Cam Hansen, guy that's been here. Evan Michelson, guy that's been here. Paxton Thompson, guy that's been here. Wyatt Hoodlepole, guy that's been around the SEC. You've got a mixture here is what I'm saying. You've got some young guys to develop and bring along, but those names I just called out, those are all veterans of the guys who've been around the block a time or two. And they delivered the goods this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody would love for just, overnight success and instant, hey, let's just recruit players and they're just instantly going to be good all the time. Like that would be awesome. But
why don't you get on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes it's like that and sometimes it's not. And it's like I look at like every player has, kind of I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's like some guys, it's like if you're baking something, you're cooking something, which I'm not a very good cook, but it's like some things require like 8 to 10 minutes. Some are 15 to 20, some are 20 to 25, some are longer, and it's just kind of like, all right, well, this guy, how do we speed up, this learning curve or, get him ready faster, whether, and that sort of thing, or, hey, this it's just going to take some time. And, while this player is working on things and training and improving and developing, like, it's just a matter of time until he's in there and he is one of those guys. Like we knew Paxton Thompson last year, like at some point he's going to be a big time piece for our pitching staff. Like I said, we wanted it right away. It didn't happen, but here we go. And same thing with Hale Sims in 2021, it was like, we really wanted him to, to kind of make an impact on our pitching staff and the program, that sort of thing. And it's just like, 2022, next thing you know, you look up, eventually you start on Fridays. And, it's like Cam Hansen started opening weekend for us last year and had some adversity. And, he's just like one of the hardest workers and best teammates and very talented pitcher. It's just a matter of time until it clicks for these guys, And so we just kind of understand that. And, we never, it's just, you can watch Miles Langhorne pitch, you can watch him throw 3 pitches and know that, he's got a incredibly bright future, and it's only a matter of time before, he's really going to dominate any lineup in college baseball. It's just, to your point, it's been a long time since he's been out there, and we know that and understood it. So yeah, it's just part of the process. Somewhere. Yeah, it's just part of the process. It's like, it's just, I think I've referenced it before. I've gotten to coach Trevor Kelly, who was literally the last pitcher on our pitching staff in 2011. And he, next thing you know, 2 years later, he's a 12th rounder and he's in the big leagues with the Boston Red Sox. And Rob Wooten was a teammate of mine. He was the last player, in our Fall World Series. The players drafted 2 teams. He was the last player picked by his teammates. 3 years later, he got drafted and got to the big leagues with the Brewers. And, I coached Austin Love in 2017. He wasn't even on our roster. He was a gray shirt that couldn't even throw bullpens. Like with the team at practice. Like we had to throw his bullpens before the team was dressed for pregame BP. And, 2 years later, he's a Friday starter getting drafted in like the 3rd round and just set the AA strikeout records in the Cardinals organization. So it's like, you just coach every player to the best of your ability. And, we all do our best to try to have it all sync up to where all the players are firing on all cylinders as much as possible, but it's not always the case.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we do this? Because we're why do we always get into these good conversations and then we look up and I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, where'd all our time go?
All right. We all love baseball and we love talking baseball. It's part of it.
We could literally do this we could do at any given moment. We could do like a 3-hour show. I'm completely convinced of it. And it wouldn't even be anything. We would just sit down and do it.
This is where our audience starts logging off right now.
Well, hey, like I said about baseball, if the Bachelor's coming on or something and you need to go check it out, hey, I'm cool with that. It's whatever, right?
Yeah.
But we need to talk about the week coming up. You guys have got a big one. Starting tomorrow, really in a few hours, and that's why we need to get off here so you can get some dinner and some rest. But you guys are loading up and head down to Clemson for a game tomorrow at 4:00.
Yeah, really good Clemson team. Coach Bakich and new staff there. When he got hired, brought some really talented players with him from his previous school at Michigan, and they've got some really big pieces back from last year's team. Their offense just had a really great weekend. Against a good northeastern team from in Binghamton, and in my experience of going down to Clemson, it's a tough place to play. We've shown the ability as a program to go into tough environments and play our game. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity tomorrow night. I know our guys are too.
Yeah, I saw the game notes were released. Colin Kramer's getting the ball tomorrow. Talk about him bouncing back after Saturday, coming back and throwing getting the ball again for a midweek matchup.
Yeah, we had actually met with Colin probably a week or 10 days before opening day and kind of mapped out his throwing plan. And we had talked about him starting the second game of the doubleheader probably 10 days before opening day, and then just said, hey, look, we'll see how the series is going. We had talked about if we had been 2-0, it would have been a surefire like 2 innings for him, and then bring him back for Tuesday, kind of thing. And then we talked about, if we're not 2-0, there's only 2 other options we could have been. One of which we were 1-1, and just said, hey, look, if we're not 2-0, then we're gonna, just pitch and get us as deepest into the game, and we'll, let our coaching staff kind of decide when we come get you. So we probably extended them a little bit more than we wanted to, but we just felt like we needed to win game 3. Every game we need to win, obviously, right? But it's like we were less concerned about Tuesday because we were 1-1 than we would have been had we been 2-0 in a sense. And so we, that all being said, he felt really good on Sunday and feels really good today. So he's got big game experience for us, and and I think there's probably a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth from Saturday anyway. So I think it just checks a lot of boxes to get him right back out there and get him going again. So excited for it.
Now let's talk about moving ahead to this weekend. Really, and Kevin's already getting in the patriotic theme there with his red, white, and blue Niners cap.
Well, it's President's Day today. So.
It is. Well played, Kevin. It's President's Day, so he's showing his Niner gear and his patriotism at the same time. So well played. This weekend, more of the same, more patriotism on display. We've got Army coming in for a 3-game series. So talk a little bit about that and just how that came together.
Yeah, no, they it was actually so they have a new Coach Trax is their new head coach, for them, and Coach Foster, their previous head coach, had actually reached out to us about coming down to play in Charlotte because I think West Point, there's a good number of alums from West Point here in the city, and come to find out that I don't believe we've ever played in academy, if not certainly not Army in baseball, and just with Coach Bick's background in the Air Force Academy, and our appreciation for the military and the services and everything they do to defend our freedom. I just thought it was a really cool opportunity for us to get together and play a series. So they'll come down here this weekend, and I think they just won 2 of 3 and showed really well this past weekend. But they're coming off of an NCAA tournament appearance, which seems like they're frequently in, and their preseason pick to win the Patriot League, which always has some really, really strong teams. So they'll be tough. They'll be well coached. They'll be physical. They'll be competitive. So we'll have our work cut out for us. Haven't sunk my teeth too much into video and that kind of thing on them yet. Just with concentrating on Clemson, and we play tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. There is a Niner connection with Army. Chris Gresham, former catcher here in Charlotte, he was at the first pitch dinner. Played with Chris Haney. His son Tanner Gresham is a pitcher for Army, so he's a Charlotte native, and he'll be returning to town. I'm sure we'll see former Niner Chris Gresham at the Hayes this weekend, and I'm sure he'll bring his buddies too.
Yeah, I knew that was the case, and it's always cool when there's those kind of connections.
Should be a fun weekend, although it's it will be, and Niner fans are going to get used to this because moving into the American, we'll play Navy in football. So it's always kind of I don't know. It is an awkward situation. We're going to cheer for the Niners, of course, but you like everybody on the field in this instance. Not that we don't like it. Well, okay, we don't always like everybody on the field. I'm fine, whatever. But this weekend with a dugout full of West Point cadets, Yeah, that's a little different. It's gonna be cool though. Can't wait to see it. Did you guys see what was that? That was you brought up Toby and Air Force. They had a parachutist come in at the opening day. Kevin, we didn't do that. We just threw out a first pitch. At Air Force, they parachute in.
They're players, right?
That's what I heard. I haven't seen video of it. But yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know. We need to effort that, but
you guys are retiring from first pitch and you've moved on to that.
Oh man.
That's negatory. Negatory. We have not moved on to that.
We can figure something else out. We'll figure out something else.
Yeah, we have moved on to reminding everyone that the game on Friday is at 4 p.m., 2 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday. And then if you need tickets, you can go to charlotte49ers.com and pick those up. We're looking forward to seeing everybody out there. And remember, Saturday we'll be tailgating. Talked about it earlier in the show. Tailgate lot open at 10 a.m. and we'll be out there. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday, come hang out with us before the game. And then we're going to go jump on Army and have a great series. Coach, we got to get you home. We got to get you fed, and we got to get you some rest before Clemson. You got any final comments on the weekend?
No, I just can't emphasize it enough. One, how proud I am of our guys. It's not easy. Ball State is a really good team. They're going to win a lot of games and likely be in the NCAA tournament. So, to show that type of resiliency and toughness, it's not easy to do. And I'm very appreciative of, all the families and the parents and friends that were there, for opening weekend series. You could feel the excitement. The student section was great. And, we want to continue to playing a brand of baseball here that everybody can be proud of. And we've got a great opportunity tomorrow night down in Clemson, South Carolina against a really good team.
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get it. I'm headed. I think Coach Kevin and I are coming down. We're in. We're coming to Clemson tomorrow. So we got to go get some rest too, folks. That's going to do it. We're out of time. We're past out of time. But since when have we ever been concerned about that? Look for this podcast wherever you find your podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe in order to be notified of new content. You can also find Diamond Niner Report on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, but still never TikTok. Reach out anytime you'd like. We'd love hearing from you all. If you're old-fashioned like us, just say hello at the ballpark or stop by the tailgate on Saturday. That'd be even better. We'd love to hang out with you for a little bit. For Kevin, producer Brad, and Coach Woody, this has been Nick. We'll see you at the Hayes.
Go Niners.